Okay, this is lesson 25, solving quadratics by graphing. So we talked about quadratics. Okay, quadratic equations are when we have x squared or t squared or s squared. Okay, it's something squared. We always know there's two answers, and when we want to solve them, I taught you how to solve by factoring. I taught you how to solve by taking a square root. I taught you how to solve by complete the square. The fourth one today we're going to talk about is solve by graphing. This is a longer way that you need to know how to do, but any of those ways could get you the answer. Okay, there's no special way to do it. Some ways you can't get the answer correctly, other ways you can. So this is another way you have to know how to do it. Okay, and basically the big idea today, you just have to know where does the quadratic equation, which looks like a U, okay, either upside down or right side up, where does it cross the x-axis? That's it. Those are the answers, okay? Where does it cross the x-axis? That's the big idea. You got it? Okay? Here are the steps. You have these written down in class. If you're on the video, please pause it now. Here we go. So number 1 and 2, okay? So I'm going to pull up my notes from earlier because there's a lot of writing. Alright, so when I look at number 1, I'm looking at a few things here. So first thing I want to do is figure out what my a, b, and c are. I know it's quadratic because it's x squared. Y is equal to x squared. That's the biggest term or biggest exponent, so it's going to have two answers. So I want to figure out a, b, and c. So I figure out a, b, and c first. And we know that a is equal to -1 and b is equal to -8. C is equal to 15. That's first, okay? The next thing I would do is figure out where my vertex is. The vertex is the point like at the very bottom of the U or at the very top of the U. Does that make sense? Okay, it's that very tip of it, okay? So we figure out what is our vertex. The way we figure it out is you have to start with a little formula that's negative b over 2a. So you write that down. So in this example we got negative 8 over 2 times a, which is just -1. So we got our vertex is at positive 4, okay? Then we're going to make an XY chart. And we know that 4 is our vertex, okay? So if 4 is the vertex, there's going to be points to the left and to the right of the vertex, okay? There's going to be points that are going to be to the left of this and to the right of it, if this is the center, okay? So I'm going to pick a couple smaller points than 4. Two smaller numbers than 4 are 3 and 2, okay? And then two bigger numbers than 4 are 5 and 6. Put a little line by 4 to show that that's where the vertex is. Then I would solve for, let me go back just a smidget. Okay. Then I would solve for our vertex, which is 4. So I put it into my equation. So 4 squared is 16, okay, times 1. Or this is, yeah, times 1 is 16. Then we have -8 times 4 is -32. So 16 minus 32 is -16. -16 plus 15 is -1. Okay? That means our vertex point is at 4, -1. Okay, this is not a negative sign. This is actually a little arrow. Okay? Next thing I work with the smaller numbers here. 3. 3 squared is 9. -8 times 3 is -24. So 9 minus 24 is 15. Or -15. -15 plus 15 is 0, okay? So that's another point, is 3, 0. Now we're going to put 2 in. 2 squared is 4. -8 times 2 is -12 plus 15 is positive 3, okay? So this is my vertex. This is where the center is. I know in all my quadratic graphs, they're going to look symmetrical. Does everyone know what symmetrical means from geometry? What does it mean? It's the same on both sides, right? You remember that? So if these points are going to be on one side, they should reflect over. So a shortcut in here that you could use is you could assume these 2 points will go over to the other 2 down here. Okay? So the 0 could go there and the 3 could go there. And just to prove that this works, let's just put 5 in here. 5 squared is 25. -8 times 5 is -40. So 25 minus 40 is -15. -15 plus 15 is 0. See? It works. Okay? So that's a shortcut you could take. Then we plot our points and draw your graph, okay? So now do I have perfect handwriting or ability up here? Yes or no? Is my drawing ability good? No. So could there be errors sometimes based upon our abilities? Yeah. Okay. So on this example, it doesn't look perfect, which means I could make a mistake. But remember, what's the big idea? It's where the graph crosses the x-axis, okay? So I think in your notes, did I put y-axis on the last step?
Yeah.
Can you change that to x? Just change that y to x-axis, sorry. What I meant was y is equal to 0, but it's the x-axis. So the way you find out the answers, the whole point is find the answer, okay? It's where this graph crosses the x-axis, okay? It's where y is equal to 0, okay? So y is equal to 0, look at the y. It's equal to 0 at 3 and 5. Or it crosses here at 3 and 5. Does that make sense? So these are my two answers. X is equal to 3 and 5. Nope, that's the next question. So those are my two answers, is 3 and 5. Okay? Oops, sorry. Alright? So, 3 and 5 are my two answers. Okay? What if I just did x box at the beginning? What would my two answers be? Can someone tell me?
5 and 3.
5 and 3. Aren't they the same answers? Which way is faster, graphing or Xbox? Xbox. So why are we doing this? Because you need to know how to do it this way. But is this the faster way? No. Okay? All right, number 2. Watch again. Number 2. Figure out A, B, and C first. Okay? Then we need to figure out our vertex, which is negative b over 2a. So plotting it in, or plugging the numbers in, we got negative 6 over 2 times negative 1, which is going to be negative 6 over negative 2, or I'm sorry, positive 6 over negative 2, which is negative 3. Then we're plotting our xy table with negative 3 being the vertex point in the x-axis, picking 2 points that are bigger and 2 points that are smaller. And then I'm solving for negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9 times negative is negative 9. Negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18. So negative 9 plus 18 is positive 9 minus 7 is 2. Okay, so I know my vertex is going to be at negative 3, 2. Then I'm plugging the next number in. It shows up as 1 already, but negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 6 times negative 4 is 24. So we got 20. What? What did I just say? Okay, negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Or positive 12, so we got negative 4 plus 12 is positive 8 minus 7 is 1. Sorry about that. I was going crazy there for a moment. Okay, next one is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6, so we got negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. Oh, no, wait. That's not right. What's the last one? Negative 2. Negative 1 squared. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 7. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that. So negative 1 plus 7 is positive 6. 6 minus 7 is negative 2. I'm not sure how I got that. Okay. The other 2 points are copied in. And we plot our points. Now at this point, again, does the graph look pretty? No. If I were to do this on a computer, then it would show up perfectly, right? But it's not pretty. Where is it touching the x-axis? Is it touching perfectly anywhere? No. Okay, it's not. So are we going to have some errors when we do this method? Yeah, we are. So in this case, you would just say one of the answers is about negative 4 and the other answer is about negative 1. Okay, and how I'd write it is x is about, and this is the about sign, negative 4 and negative 1, and blocked my answer. Okay, if I wanted a specific answer here, I would complete the square. All right? Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
The first one does.
The first one does. What's wrong with the second one? Where did I lose you?
When you started putting
When did I lose you?
After A, B, and C.
when you started putting it back. Yeah.
Right there.
Where? This one right here?
Up.
This one?
Up.
This one?
Everything.
Up.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, you start with this formula, negative b over 2a. So negative 6, right? Which is positive 6. over 2 times a is negative 1, so 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Positive 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. Following me? This point goes right here. Following me? Yeah. They do. We got negative 6 is positive 6. And then we got 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So there's 3 negatives.
Wait, is there always a 2
Wow.
on the bottom?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there always a 2?
I get lost when you get those second numbers.
Okay, hey. Let's come together. Shh. Which ones?
Like you see on the first one you got 0 and 3.
All right, continuing here. Let's go to number 3. Number 3. Okay, so number 3, here we go. First thing I do is find A, B, and C. A is 2. B is 4. C, is there a C up there? It's 0, right? Just like when you have no money, how much money you got? 0 monies, right? Right? 0 monies. Okay? Does that make sense? So even if you put a 0 there, it doesn't really change anything. I could put a bunch of $0 in my pocket. Doesn't change my life, right? Continuing on. Okay? So, we got our A, B, and C. Now we got to figure out our negative B over 2A. You say it's negative 1? Okay. So we plug them in. We got negative 4 over 2 times A, which is 4, which is negative 1. Good. Then we do an XY table. Starting with negative 4 in the middle. Pick 2 smaller numbers, 2 bigger numbers. Okay? It's not supposed to be negative 4. I'm sorry, I messed up there. It's supposed to be negative 1 in the middle. 2 smaller numbers, 2 bigger numbers. Okay?
So, how do you know what numbers to put in the X table?
You start with the negative 1. You see how we got negative 1 from negative B over 2A?
Yes, sir.
And then you pick 2 smaller numbers. 2 smaller numbers and negative 1 is negative 2 and negative 3.
Oh,
And then 2 bigger numbers is 0 and 1.
so you could even put like negative 5 if you want to?
You could.
Okay, thank you.
You always go with the next smaller or bigger number.
Thank you.
Good question. Okay, so then you start solving. If I put negative 1 into my equation, okay. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So we got 2 minus 4 is negative 6. Not quite. I don't think that's right, but let's see. Negative 2. Sure. Shh. Watch up here. Okay. I know we got a lot of side conversations. This goes easier if you're all focusing on it right now, okay? There's a lot of mistakes out there. Okay. So putting negative 1 in. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Keep that in your head, 2, right? So negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. So 2 minus 4 is
Negative 2.
God, negative 2 plus 0 is negative 2.
Isn't the 4 the bigger positive?
No, it's negative 4. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Okay? Following me? Okay? Then we continue. Let's plug in 0. 0 is nice. What's 0 squared? 0, good. What's 4 times 0? So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is? Wow, 0. Okay? And if we put 1 in, you should get 6, okay? 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 1 is 4. So 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 0 is 6. You following me?
No. I don't. How'd you get from negative 2 to 0 to 6?
You have to plug each of these in, and these are the answers after you plug them in.
I know, but how'd you get 0 to 6?
From plugging it in up here. I didn't make up the number, that's just what the equation gave me.
Oh. So, alright.
Okay, if you're not getting it, then look at the video, okay? That's all I can tell you. I mean, I'm going quickly for the sake of time also. Alright? Then, we know this is a symmetrical graph, right? Everyone understands symmetry? So we could assume that the 0 and the 6 we could copy to the other side symmetrically, okay? And then we plot our points, and we graph. Okay, looking up here, where does the graph touch the x-axis? What 2 points? -2 and 0. Did you all get that? Did you all see how they cross there? So those are your answers. You would write x is equal to -2 and 0. Sorry about that. Let me go back a little bit. So you would write x is equal to -2 and 0. Okay? Because we know that they cross at -2 and 0. Did y'all see that? Okay? This is a hard way. I agree with you. It's frustrating. Okay? But the only way you get through like the hard stuff is you have to practice doing it correctly. And this is something we'd seen in Algebra 1. And you're going to see in Algebra 2. We're going to see this form. And then when we get next semester, it's going to be like 4 or 5 weeks where we draw graphs all the time. So you could either complain about it and give up, or you can just deal with it, start learning, and go for it, okay? Number 4, this one's kind of hard. Okay, A, B, and C. What's my A, B, and C, everyone? Good, okay. -2, -16, -33. Okay? What's the next formula we need to deal with? Negative b over 2a. Good. Okay, so negative b is -16, which is positive 16. 2 times a is -4. Right? Would you all agree? 16 divided by -4 is -4. Okay? Then we draw an xy table with -4 as our center vertex point. What 2 numbers should you pick that are smaller? -3 and -2, and what are 2 bigger numbers? Those are actually in reverse, but yeah, that's right. Those are some numbers, okay? Those are numbers you plug in. Those are numbers you have to put in, okay? You okay, buddy? You focusing? Okay. Alright, so let's start at -4, because that's the center of our vertex. What's -4 squared? 16. 16 times -2 is -32. -16 times -4 is positive 64. -32 plus 64 is 32. 32 minus 33 is -1. Did you see how I got a small answer just now? Did y'all get that? Well, that wasn't the final answer. Even though I went up to 64 at one point, what was my final answer I just got on that 1 point? -1, right? Is that a huge answer? No. So if you're in your homework, you're like at -500, then you're way off. You're doing something wrong, okay? Does that make sense? I see that in some students' papers. They're like, oh, I'm at like -300. Nope, you're doing it wrong. Something's wrong, okay? Okay, now I like working with smaller numbers, so I'm gonna go to the -3. So -3 squared is 9. 9 times -2 is -18. Okay. -16 times -3 is positive 48. So -18 plus 48 is 30. 30 minus 33 is -3. Okay? And since -3 is symmetrical, it's one of those symmetrical points, I'm going to put on the opposite end too. What's that?
We'll need to find like true variables and then found the other two.
Yep.
Still don't get it.
Okay, I'm plugging negative. Watch carefully. Plugging in -2 into my equation. -2 squared is
4.
4 times -2 is -8. Keep that in the back of your head, okay? -16 times -2 is
32.
positive 32, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's -8 plus 32?
40. Oh, no.
All right.